Sana Zan Hafade, Guahusi Chelsey,
Then Guahusi Audrey.
and today we're going to discuss Guahan Chep Chop Unai. For centuries, Chep Chop Unai, or the Seashore, has provided for the people of Guam. Although many do not know it by this name, Chep Chop Unai has and continues to serve as the bridge connecting humans with the natural world. To the indigenous people of Guam, the Chamorro people, Chep Chop Unai was a place that brought families, friends, and communities together, and where core community values were inspired. This tie to Chep Chop Unai can be traced back to the Chamorro creation story of sibling gods Puntan and Fauna.
The creation story of Puntan and Fauna is told that before all else existed, Puntan felt his spirit dying and told his sister Fauna to create the world with what remained of him. From his body she made the land and soil. His back was turned into the open sky, his left eye became the sun, the right became the moon, and his eyebrows became rainbows across the earth. Fauna grieved for her brother, however, and her tears formed the vast sea. Not longing for loneliness another day, she turned herself into Fua Rock, from where humans emerged and filled the land. Along with the creation story, Chep Chop Unai held significant cultural and societal importance to Chamorro ancestors.
Through years of survival along the seashore, the ancient Chamorro developed skilled techniques in the areas of fishing, seafaring, and construction. Ancient lati stones, or house support structures, are frequently found at coastal locations with easy access to the ocean, suggesting that previous societies retained a close relationship with both the terrestrial and marine coastal environment.
Living so close to the sea, the Chamorro became skilled seafarers and mastered the art of making fast-sailing canoes. During the Spanish colonization of Guam in the 1500s, multiple accounts were written about the Chamorro's outrigger canoe, the Sakman, which is known to Westerners as the Flying Proa. In an account written by Father Fray Martin Rada, he described how more than 400 proas came out to meet the ships of Miguel Lopez de Legazpi, who claimed the Mariana Islands for Spain in 1565. Rada wrote, "Their canoes are so well finished and very well made, fastened with cords. They are very light and they sail abroad with their palm mat lateen sails, cutting against the wind and tacking so swiftly that it is a marvelous thing to watch."
Along with being skilled seafarers, the ancient Chamorros were very resourceful and utilized materials found on the seashore to create fishing lines, fishing tools, and jewelry. Fishing techniques such as the po'oyo developed along with these tools and were used to catch small fish both at sea and along the seashore. Although questions still remain, it is evident that the ancient Chamorro connection with the seashore also influenced burial practices. The majority of ancient burial sites on Guam have been found along the coastline and are often marked with large coral or stone pillars. The deceased are frequently discovered lying on their backs with feet towards the coast. This practice has continued till today, with several cemeteries positioned toward the sea.
Aside from its influence in the development of skills and techniques, Chep Chop Unai was a place where Chamorro core values were inspired. As an important societal activity, seashore fishing inspired a sustainable and reciprocal relationship between the Chamorro people and the natural environment. This helped to form core Chamorro values such as Inafamalik, or the Chamorro concept of restoring harmony. Fray Juan Pobre witnessed this system of cooperation, noting how the Chamorros shared among members of society and never refused help when asked.
Upon the arrival of European settlers in the 1500s, explorers such as Ferdinand Magellan brought with them new customs, new languages, and new economic systems. One of the most significant changes of European settlement was the Christianization and conquest of the Marianas, which dramatically changed the traditional Chamorro lifestyle. During this time, navigation and trade were also impacted amongst island people, and this led to loss in traditional fishing practices and the disappearance of seafaring canoes such as the Sakman. The use of lati stone also ceased after the arrival of the Spanish, as Chamorros were pushed to live in parish villages called pueblos. Nevertheless, reliance and respect for the ocean and its resources remained an important component of Chamorro cultural history. For more than 300 years, Spain ruled over Guam. And it wasn't until the end of the Spanish-American War in 1898 that the United States gained control of the island. Succeeding the war, island life and the seashore landscape greatly changed.
Although far from the mainland, Guam was a valuable and strategic location for the U.S. military during World War I and World War II. The U.S. utilized and developed the land to strengthen its military presence in the Pacific, and this led to Chamorro loss of land, loss of sovereignty, and loss of culture. On December 8, 1941, Japanese troops successfully stormed the coastline in what came to be known as the 1941 Battle of Guam. During Japanese military occupation from 1941 to 1944, the Chamorro were forced alongside the Japanese to build defensive structures such as pillboxes around the island. These structures still exist today and can be seen around the seashore. In 1944, the Americans returned to recapture the island in what became known as the 1944 Battle of Guam. In doing so, American and Japanese forces pulverized coastal areas. The intense bombardments destroyed Guam's population centers, as well as many other villages along the western coast. Because of the destruction, the island's coastal landscape was in turmoil after the war.
The atrocities of World War II had a major impact on the Chamorro people and left them to face a devastated island. Large tracts of land were taken to support the growing U.S. military presence, and villages were absorbed as part of the naval station. In 1950, President Harry Truman signed the Organic Act, which solidified Guam's status as an unincorporated territory, essentially establishing the government of Guam and ultimately granting American citizenship to the local Chamorro people. The act also relieved the island of U.S. Navy control and allowed the people of Guam to forge a new direction towards modernity, urbanization, and an opportunity for an American way of life.
As post-World War II brought many new changes and opportunities to the people of Guam, customs and culture also saw change. In the early 1960s, surfing became a popular sport within the seashore environment. Guam's untapped reef breaks offer surfers a unique opportunity for discovery. Talafofo Bay, which is a place frequented by surfers today, served as one of the easiest spots in the surf scene. In the 1960s, the easing of restrictions for entering Guam and the establishment of a local civilian government made the island an ideal place for people from all over the world to visit and create a new life. By the early 1970s, Guam became a tourist hotspot in the Pacific with the construction of high-rise hotels, entertainment venues, and condominiums. Today, the tourist industry is the second largest employer of the population.
As the 1970s brought economic and population booms, many interest groups were eager to develop areas around the seashore. It was at this time that the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers recognized the necessity and importance of studying the coastal area. Contracted by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, the University of Guam's Marine Laboratory conducted a coastal assessment of Guam that included a general study of major structural elements comprising the coastal environment. After finalizing the study, the intent was to create a comprehensive plan that would actively manage and protect the coastal resources. Following the completion of the Coastal Survey, the 12th Guam Legislature passed the Guam Territorial Seashore Protection Act of 1974. This law created the Seashore Reserve, whose basic boundary is the seashore of the entire island, and called for a plan to be developed that would protect this valuable natural resource for current and succeeding island generations. Since the Act's passage, however, no comprehensive plan has been submitted to the legislative branch for review.
In today's society, Chep Chop Unai continues to connect people from all walks of life and bridges the present generation to Guam's cultural past. Ancient traditions that utilize coastal resources such as canoe building and jewelry making are being revived today through classes, projects, and group activities. Various island community groups, organizations, and government agencies are collaborating together to find ways to preserve the island's finite natural resources for future generations. And areas of specific cultural and environmental interest, such as the Guam National Wildlife Refuge, have also been created to protect and preserve the area's beauty, heritage, and natural resources.
As the climate continues to change and Guam's society continues to transform, protecting and preserving natural resources are of paramount concern. While there have been attempts in the past, the Guam Coastal Management Program today is collaborating with government agencies and community members alike to create the Guam Seashore Reserve Plan. This plan supports collaboration to address the seashore's various challenges and promotes the interconnectedness of the land and the sea with the people of Guam. After all, our small island community is tied intrinsically to Chep Chop Unai, and its changes will continue to shape Guam's current and future generations. It is imperative that together as a community, we do our part to protect all aspects of its existence.